They go into the back, the blue light on, we have a race and Satnova's beaten Pure Steel out by a length and a half.
Welcome to Talking Trots, hosted by Mortz and Michael Radley on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
The sensational Sydney sider, Seals to Sam, comes off the back straight. He's a bucket load of alliteration, this fellow.
Scott Bomber Hill will join the boys to look at the Friday night meeting at Gloucester Park.
Here comes Quinny. I'm the mighty Queen is four deep and letting go.
Sit back and enjoy Talking Trots with Mortz and Michael Radley.
I'm the mighty Queen is just in front. Dasher VC can do no more. And the West Australian champion has done it again.
Yes, hello and welcome to another big edition of Talking Trots. Mortz is still away and I'm solo tonight. Hopefully we keep you entertained for the next hour or so, and a big show coming up. We're going to talk to Gary Hall Jr., who returns to the bike tomorrow night, and he's got a great book of drives, including the favourite for the Hoist Talk Australia 2-year-old Pearl Classic Group 2 $100,000 race. But he's got plenty of chances throughout the night. Got to catch up with Junior. He did speak to Tim and Digby earlier this morning, but just talking about his drives tomorrow night. And we're also going to be joined by leading breeder Steve Johnson, who owns one of the main dangers in the Pearl Classic in Sebastian James, drawn the pole. He bred the horse. He's bred 3 into the race, and he's also the breeder of Never Ending, which it must be exciting to have bred the favourite for the Eureka. We got to catch up with Steve and have a chat, and also we got to have Bomber along to preview Gloucester Park, and Ollie a little bit later on to do the provincials, which is Bunbury. On Saturday night and Central Wheat Belt Sunday, and see if we can find a winner on the big Triad night at Albion Park on Saturday night. But the main race on Friday night is the Hoist Talk Group 2 Pearl Classic. Gary Hall Jr.'s on the line, but before we go, he takes the drive on Massimo, and it was a really impressive heat winner. Got off the pegs by Madison Brown early. Got to the 1-1, pushed the button down the back, and was too good for the very talented Express Party.
Metal side around the turn though. It's I'm Massimo the outside and the inside Express Party lifting. Express Party and I'm Massimo have come together. What a great battle. Express Party and I'm Massimo. It's I'm Massimo the outside, Express Party the inside. I'm Massimo has taken the lead, drawn clear, and I'm Massimo's won, and Express Party's got another placing. A Long Gap Lake Pickler, a good effort to get into the final.
Yeah, that was I'm Massimo winning the heat of the Pearl Classic in the final tonight, and being well supported on Tab Touch. Comes into $3, touch $4, $3 with Sebastian James drifting, and we got it on Massimo's driver on the line right now in Gary Hall Jr. Junior, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Brad. It's good to be on.
Thanks.
Just you, is it?
Yeah, mate, I'm just solo with it. The budget's been cut. that's how good we're going.
Yeah,
mate, must be good.
Well, let's hope we can find some winners.
Yeah, lucky I got some help with Bomber and also Ollie a little bit later on. Will talk more sense than me, but hopefully we find some. But you must be excited about returning to the sulky after 5 weeks away.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Seems to go slower when you get a bit older too. So yeah, it's been a long wait, but yeah, good to be back.
And you come back, and on Massimo, we heard his heat win just then. He continues to improve and being well supported. Good pickup drive on your first night back.
Yeah, I was sort of happy when I got the couple of weeks off on the appeal because it got me back for this race. But then I sort of thought, wow, I wish I had was able to come back on like a Monday or Tuesday meeting at least, just to get the eye back in a little bit first. But yeah, he's a nice horse to pick up. Draw, I think, is pretty good for him. Looks like we're probably following the leader, so should be a good spot for him. He just needs that little bit of luck to get out late.
We actually watched the heat win together when you were dropping off Never Ending, and geez, he went well. It was a great drive by Madison, where she got off the pegs early and then just trucked up outside the pretty impressive Express Party, and it was a really impressive heat win.
Yeah, it was. I think if he, all things being equal, even if he had run second in the heat, it still would have been a good run. But the fact that he actually got there just shows how much the horse has actually improved under racing, and he's got that competitive edge as well. He's got that real will to win. There's a couple of times up the straight there where it looked like he was probably going to run second, but he really dug deep and found the line well, and that was probably the most pleasing thing about his win, I thought. But yeah, Matty drove a great race, and it's a lot of pressure in those heats, especially when you're someone like her who's probably not used to driving in them all that often, and she probably felt that pressure, I would say. So it was a really good effort by her to get that horse into the final, and she got off at the drive in the final. Justin left it up to us to decide what we wanted to do, but she was happy to jump off and let me take him round, and I didn't take too much convincing, obviously.
The other thing is, Justin Prentice horses usually bounce off the heat win, and this is one of his big grand finals because he's not eligible for the Westbred, so you'd think he's going to be spot on for this race Friday night.
Yeah, definitely. Justin's always, whatever they do in the heat, they usually do improve on, like you say. So this guy's sort of just improved gradually every start, I felt, and I don't know if he's exceeding expectations at this stage, but he's a pretty nice horse, I think, and he's a very laid back sort of 2-year-old too, so you can understand the improvement with racing.
Now, it's a pretty strong race. You said Sebastian James, you thought the likely leader. He's 250 to 350 on Tab Touch. There's support for Captain's Creek, which is $5 to $4, and also Express Party, who on Massimo beat in the heat. He's been $14 into $6, who hasn't been able to win a race, but he hasn't been too far away. It's a really strong final. Who do you think's the main one to beat?
Yeah, it's a good even final too. I think the one's the horse to beat. It's proven that it can lead and win races, and can cop a bit of pressure as well. So yeah, I think I think with the draw, it's just naturally the horse that to beat, and but we're following him, which is good. So it should be a good race. You'd imagine there always is a little bit of pressure in these races at some stage. So for our sake, the more the better.
Yeah, it's going to be a great race. That's the $100,000 Pearl Classic for 2-year-olds. But you've got a good book to come back to. I'm hoping that you're not going to be blowing out the cobwebs of the first drive, because you're driving for Trots End and Michael Young with Blaze away in the first race. I'm not too sure whether they've got the market right in the preemptive market at $3 favourite, when Menemsha is $11, Wave Rider $3.50, and Waterloo $4 in the harness racing site. But it's a very strong 3-year-old race to kick off the program.
Yeah, it's a cracker. Michael was pretty keen to get this guy in the race, because he was going to get that draw. He sort of was guaranteed one. He told me, and the trial was good. It was pleasing to see him trial like that, because I always had a pretty good opinion of the horse, but he did lose his way a little bit there, I suppose. And but yeah, this is talk about being thrown in the deep end first up. $3 barrier one. I'd be surprised if he started that. You'd imagine he'd go around a fair bit longer than that, I would think, in this race. But Michael's pretty keen. He can run a forward race. I'm sure he wouldn't have him in it if he didn't think he could. And he's suggested he's improved a little bit off the trial as well. So be good to line him up and see where he's at, because this is about as good as it gets with the horses drawn 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah, well, they're obviously all getting prepared for the Westbreds coming up as well, which will probably be the next target. Race number 2, you've got Don't Be Silly Chili. I know Bomber's a little bit keen on Don't Be Silly Chili, and you got to follow through from the back line, which I don't think will be too bad.
No, she's racing well too, so probably going to be decent each way odds. So she could fill a place, I think, from there, and with average luck or above average luck, she could maybe take it out. But I think from a place point of view, she's probably a decent chance.
In the third, you got La Mandière for Michael Young again. Geez, he was impressive on Friday night. Last, coming into the home straight the final time, and just was too strong for them.
Yeah, career best. I think he's going. I think he's forming off there for a little while. I think he was sort of angling for a spell, but now he's realised his trainer's too greedy and not going to tip him out. He decided, I better hit form again, otherwise he might send me up the road. But Yeah, I'm not sure how we drive him there on Friday, but he's a good. You couldn't sort of write him off on his last run.
No, it didn't matter where you lobbed. He's got to put himself in the race at some stage. And then Celestio Matuko, one of your horses, drawn the outside of the field. A couple of nice ones inside you.
Yeah, there is. I think he's up to him. I think he just needs a bit of a genuine tempo to figure. I think his best form for me has either been breezing or sat up with one run at him, and I'm hoping Friday can be the race where we go back to that sick kick style. Last week, once he got crossed and it was when Rascal found the front, he was millions. I was surprised he started as short as he did, but obviously that price was solely based around him leading. But it's the third time now he's drawn to lead and been odds on since he's come to WA, and he still hasn't got a one next to his name for any of them. So it's hard to suggest him on Friday, but I think he's going well enough to win that race. I think obviously Chivalry probably hard to beat if he holds up, but yeah, any speed early, if they can run a good lead time or even a quick middle half, he'll be right in it. I think he's each way all day.
Then we move to the marathon. Cownie Island Lou, this horse, he looks a real speed horse. How do you think the marathon's going to suit him?
Yeah, well, he'll be fit enough. I've got no doubt about that. But he's the sort of horse that, provided he can go the distance, doesn't worry him. He'll be in the finish, I think. I think he probably has to be driven sick kick in this race. That goes without saying, but he can't really be a role player. But I think it's anything can win this race, really. Who knows? I just hope I get the laps right.
Well, and there should be a couple of drivers putting a bit of pressure on as well in this race. So Rock Artist, if it looks probably the logical leader, and it likes to roll along a bit. So and obviously the back markers, Karana and Otis does like getting put into the race too if the pace cycling. So I give him a decent chance. I'm not sure what price he will be, but I don't think if he's an each way price, he's probably worth a ticket. Yeah, just take a couple of pebbles out and drop one each lap, so you know we are. Yeah, then you got to wonder if you drop one or not. No, you'll be right. My ultimate chevron for Michael Young again inside the back line. I don't think it's a bad draw for him. No, it's probably a good draw for him to be tucked away, and just need him to, see him hit the line in a race. He hasn't had a lot of luck since he's come over here, and perfect draw to drive him completely cold and see if he can't run through the line. And Lupicello in race number 9's your last drive. How's he going, do you think? Flying, but he just doesn't win often. His times are, the times this horse can run, he should be able to string a few Metro wins together, but he just doesn't ever find the line first. He'll follow any speed and be competitive, but he just doesn't win often enough for how good he's going. So hard to suggest he could win that. It's a pretty good field, but he could definitely place or top 4. All right, mate. Really good book of drives to come back to. Who's your best? Yeah, a couple of pressure ones there. I think probably from, just a couple of nice each way ones. I think, I hate saying the main race, but he does look like one of my better drivers on the program, Massimo. And then probably outside of him, I'll go with Celestio each way. Go the double whammy. Either way, you can blame the trainer or the driver then. Now, you're still on the golf course. Who's winning? It's pretty even at the moment, I think. Yeah, it's pretty close at the moment. But it's been a slow day out here. But Betsy and I might just have our noses in front. But there's a long way to go. All right, mate. Thank you for taking the time. Hit them straight, and we'll see you at the track tomorrow night. No worries. Cheers, Rads. Good on you. Gary Hall Jr. there, who's coming back in his return to race driving. Tell you what, he's got a great book of drives, and hopefully he kicks it off with Blaze Away in the first. Speaking of Blaze Away, the breeder of Blaze Away is Steve Johnson, and Steve's got to play a big part in the Pearl Classic. He's bred 3 horses in the final, including the favourite, which he actually owns as well. And Sebastian James was a really impressive heat winner about 9 days ago. Let's go back and listen to Sebastian James taking out a heat of the Pearl Classic.
The turn, Captain's Creek gone. 29 won the next quarter. Sebastian James in front of Como El Viento, trying hard with Captain's Creek battling on. And then came Lou L'Amour back behind the mid-crunch time, and also Captain Sterling. Sebastian James is clear though over the final stages. Great battle for the minors. Coming late, Captain Sterling. The other 2 are fighting on as well. Como El Viento and Captain's Creek. But on the line, it's a win to Sebastian James over the fast finish.
That's 3 wins from 4 starts for Sebastian James, and he's going to be a real player in the Group 2 on Friday night. And we're joined by his owner and breeder, and Steve Johnson. Steve, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Michael. Good to talk to you.
Mate, must be exciting to have one of your progeny that you actually own, a real player in one of these big 2-year-old features at Gloucester Park tomorrow night.
It's really exciting, even if you no longer own them, but it's even more exciting if you own them, and a little bit more exciting when you draw barrier 1. So, yeah, he's a horse with good form and a good draw. So we're, as you have to be, optimistic. But there's so many chances in that race. One of the more even bunches of Pearl contestants that we've seen for a long time. I think the winner could come from anywhere, but hopefully the winner comes from number 1.
Well, yeah, it's a good start, isn't it, barrier 1? And, geez, he's done a good job, hasn't he, for Cat Warwick and yourself?
He has, yeah. Yeah, no, he's... Dean Miller at Pinjarra. Dean broke him in and said that he thought he was a really nice horse, but that was very early days. And Catcher and Trevor have done a fantastic job with him, and hopefully they've got him cherry ripe for tomorrow night.
Now, he's from your great line that started off with Hold Tight and has produced so many winners, and including Like a Dame, who's produced the mother of this fellow. Like it's from your great line, isn't he?
It is. It's been a family that's been fantastic for us. Sebastian James, he's actually out of a full sister to the best horse we've ever had, which was David Hercules. So, but unfortunately the mother passed away a couple of days after foaling, and Sebastian was an orphan foal, and that's a whole nother story that I could tell you all about. But he's turned into a lovely colt.
Well, it must be even more special then under those circumstances.
It is more special, yes. When the mother passed away, and you're trying to find a mare, and I think it took us 5 or 6 days, and finally we got a mare, and all of a sudden, once you realise she was going to accept him as her own and give him love and nurture, it was a pretty touching moment.
Yeah, and it must have, as you said, you must have been really concerned through that early part, and to see what he's grown into, because he's a really nice, strong colt.
He is, yeah, and he's been so sensible that we've been able to keep him as a colt. I don't think it's crossed anyone's mind yet to geld him, so hopefully that gives him an advantage over some of them in the longer term as well.
Yeah, well, his granddad, as you said, like a Dame, who produced also David Hercules. But out of the same mare, Hold Tight, you've got Endless Journey, who's produced Never Ending, Gitana Nicole, who produced Major Martini, and Heather Mary, who actually produced one that was associated with in Know When to Run. It just seems to be like an endless production line out of this family.
It appears that way, yes. All of the daughters of Hold Tight have bred good quality horses. So we've kept a few of the daughters, and the ones we've kept, we've been very lucky. They've given us a great return, including
Endless Journey, and she's the mother of Never Ending. It must be exciting for you to have bred the favourite for the world's richest race, the Eureka, and seeing him come through the sales, progress to where he is, and now go to Sydney and race the best.
It's really exciting. You're always hoping that everything's on track and where it needs to be when you get to race night. But from what they've seen, I think he'll mix it with horses just about anywhere. And let's hope he's let's hope he's on the mark and that Justin and Junior, can get the job done. Let's cross our fingers. And I'm hoping that I think the whole of Western Australia will be behind him. And as you said, he's West Australian bred and owned, and which is a good thing for WA racing.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic, and you even like you're part of it, but the fact that the WA bred has improved so much, even in the last 10 years, but 5 years is just amazing. Where it used to be dominated by the New Zealand horses, even in our derbies and Oaks and Nuggets, whereas now the locally bred horses are winning these big local features.
Yeah. I guess, everyone, you've got to be able to mix it at every level in horse racing. Otherwise, you might as well not do it. So everyone has to try and breed the best horses they possibly can, and hopefully that's good enough to race at a high level against horses anywhere in the country and possibly anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any doubt now that some of the horses being produced in WA can mix it with the very best, and we're seeing it now, and hopefully we get to see Never Ending win the Eureka in a couple of weeks' time. Steve, really appreciate you joining us, and good luck on Friday night with Sebastian James. You also bred Captain Sterling, who's drawn 9, has shown a lot of ability, and also Hold the Ammo, who's shown a lot of ability for Cat Warwick as well. So the horses you've produced are certainly kicking on.
And good luck with Blaze Away on Friday night. He's been off the scene for quite a while, and his trial was impressive. He's drawn 1, and hopefully he can give you a good side as well. So good luck to yourself and your fellow owners in Blaze Away.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Really appreciate it. And thanks for your time, and we'll see you out at Gloucester Park tomorrow night.
No worries, Michael. Thanks a lot, mate. See you. Bye.
Good on you. Steve Johnson there, who is one of the great breeders. We've got some really good breeders here in WA. The Charleses, Carnup, Mike Howie. There's just plenty of really good beaters, and Steve is obviously leading the way. And I tell you what, we had Ryan Bell on last week, and it was remiss of me not to plug and chat to him about Shockwave going to start. His great pacer, who's been retired, the Group 1 winning son of Mac 3. He's got a stand for Ryan and Tiffany for $3,300. Go to their Facebook page, Bell Pacing Stables, and also, or you can email them at bellpacingstables@hotmail.com. And he's going to be a great addition to the ranks of our breeding industry as a sire. Double West bred, we all know how good those bonuses are. And the all-important thing, he's got a great maternal line. The Charles is breeding. Obviously, he's a brother to Double Espresso, but by Mac 3, who is the sire of sires, like one of the greatest siring lines in the modern time, if not ever. Obviously, Mac 3 produced Some Beach Somewhere, who's producing Captain Treacherous and now Captain Crunch. It's just a siring sires line, and geez, he's looking good. If you go to the Bell Pacing Facebook page, the videos on there of him are just amazing. He looks like he could probably come back into work and give him some curry as well. He's a magnificent looking fella, beautifully gaited. He got around Gloucester Park beautifully, and he's a great addition to our breeding ranks here in WA. And good luck to Kevin Jevons and Ryan and Tiff with upcoming season. I know they've already had quite a number of bookings, but great to have him as a double Westbred sire, the son of Mac 3. Now, big news out of the Eureka. We heard last week that Never Ending arrived safely. Junior's going over to drive. I think he's going to have his a run a week before the Eureka, I think the 24th of August, and then into the Eureka. Really important to have a race around Menangle. And it was announced this week that Team Zav have taken Major Delight, the mare. The second mare goes into the Eureka, which means we've got a 3-year-old and 2 mares who'll draw 1, 2 and 3. And it only leaves 2 official slots in the tab after Frankie Ferocious was a withdrawal, and also Seymour. And there's mail around that Kevin Seymour will be making an announcement very soon. There is some concern around the Summit Bloodstock Aaron Baines slot with the Lost Storm after his defeat at Milton last Friday night. So really heating up. All things going well at the moment, touch wood for Never Ending as he progresses through. A few issues for some of the other runners, and there's a few runners going around on the weekend. Saturday night at Menangle, we get to see Captain's Knock drawn 1 in a free-for-all at Menangle, and he's looking to really make a statement there, particularly to push forward. In the triad final for the 4-year-old, we've got Free Thinker, who's already got a slot. And in that race, pushing for slots for Real Life for Trent Dawson and Regazzo de Tilly for Darren Garrard. And we also have at Melton a horse that could push his way through, and I think he's a little bit unlucky he hasn't probably already got a slot in Perfect Class, who's been winning free-for-alls at Melton. He goes around in a free-for-all against a pretty talented lot, including Hurricane Harley, 888, Mac Dan. So it's got to be a good tester. If he can win that, then he might force his way through. So all eyes on Eureka this weekend, but good luck. I know the team are getting excited for Never Ending, and so they should, and they should be very proud, Steve Johnson and the team, and the WA bred Never Ending, went through the APG sales, has won the West bred at 2, 3 and 4, and goes over there to compete in the Nullarbor in a couple of weeks' time. All right, before we take a break, this segment's brought to you by Loans 123, car loans, debt consolidations, all your personal finance. The man to see is Stevie Sell, the new nut, at loans123.com.au, or the very easy to remember 1800 100 100, and they're still doing the things the banks can't. If you've got any financial questions, or if you need any finance in any way, give Steve a call or contact him through loans123.com.au. Now, speaking of Never Ending, last week in the Diamond Classic, it was a really competitive race. Better Get On Pip led. Copperhead Lady out of the gates unfortunately broke and changed the race completely. There was a couple of different moves. She was massive, Copperhead Lady, to get as close as she did. Better Get On Pip looked like the winner halfway down the straight, but Kyle Harper, who managed to get 3 pegs on Ruby Lavera, extricated coming to the home turn, put himself in the right place at the right time, and it was a brilliant drive to get Ruby Lavera home in the Trots in 2-year-old Diamond Classic as we pick it up with Richie Bell.
And Bullshark Betty is swinging out wider. 28-3 the next quarter. Better Get On Pip is still in front. Jack's Ideal gets up on the inside. Copperhead Lady. And then came Bullshark Betty, but she sprints away. Better Get On Pip leads by 6 metres. Jack's Ideal. Copperhead Lady the outside still coming. Bullshark Betty and Winter Wonder. Better Get On Pip in front. Copperhead Lady. Winter Wonder is jumping up out of the ground. Winter Wonder flies and gets Ruby Lavera, should I say, flies and gets up. Ruby Lavera has got up to win the...
Hi, I'm Steve Sell from Loans 123. We are car finance specialists. We can help you find the loan you're looking for, your new car, and help find a home for your old one. If you want a new or used car but feel uncomfortable visiting car yards on your own, we can help and often save you money. For a stress-free way of buying and financing your next car, who do you see? Steve Sell at loans123.com.au or call 1800 100 100.
Talking Trots with Morts and Michael Radley on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
2 minutes. Jetstar sticks on. No run the Codebreaker. He gets up on the inside of the leader here, who hung off Tenzing Bromac, but he's still in front. The Codebreaker couldn't quite get through. He's trying to get through on the inside. In the straight, Tenzing Bromac in front of Jetstar, the Codebreaker. The Mickey Taker's coming down the outside. He's still in front. Tenzing Bromac. Jetstar's coming at him. It's Tenzing Bromac in front of Jetstar. Tenzing Bromac hands on and beats the stablemate. Tenzing Bromac by a head to Jetstar and 4 metres away the Mickey Taker.
It was an action-packed race. I don't know whether you're took the $1.32, whether you thought Jetstar was going to get the better of you, but Tenzing Bromag held on from Jetstar despite drifting off the track on the home turn and opening the door, but end up getting the cash. Well supported last week, backed right into $1.32, and if you had the 5 units on, you might have been a little bit concerned, but in the end, there was no concern when he got the cash by about a half neck. 156 for Tenzing Bromag, and that is win number 19 from 39 starts and over 300,000 in prize money. Now putting together a really good CV. Is Tenzing Bromag, and going to be a big player in the races, the Cups races coming up towards the end of the year. All right, this segment is brought to you by your local WA electrical appliance specialist, Retrovision, where RAC members receive an additional 5% every day. I'm told the team's been able to cope since Mortz is not there. Everything's been going smoothly. Go to the big shops at Joondalup and Ellenbrook and they'll look after you. Just let them know that Mortz sent you, and they'll certainly look after you. And if you're an RAC member, make sure you show your card because you get that additional 5% discount on the best price at Retrovision. All right, time to welcome in Scott Bomber Hill. Bomber, how do we find you this good evening?
Yeah, very well. Thanks, Rad. Off a couple of winners last week and a couple that went very. We almost got the 4 last week.
Yeah, bit unlucky.
And a 4th, and but still we managed to poke our nose in front, so we'll take it.
Yeah, not a bad meeting this week. There's 10 races. The first, it's an early start, 4:38, which is a really good 3-year-old race, Bomber, to kick off the proceedings.
Sure is. There's plenty of chances there, right across the front, and it's going to be interesting off the arm. And then I don't think it'll let up from there. It's going to be a really good race to watch.
Any chance Menemshar's going to be $11?
0.
Yeah, I think if they put that up, in the old days they'd just knock them off the stand. But I tell you, it's a really good race. Couple resuming Blaze Away Wave Rider, and we've obviously got the really good filly and Menemshar and Ideal Muscle. It's a really good field right across. But
and speed as well, which I'm not sure. Blaze Away, I'm not sure of his gate speed. We'll find out tomorrow night, I guess. But he's going to have plenty of pressure from the outside. Yeah,
it's a really good race to kick off. It is 4:38, so make sure you set your alarm so you don't forget and get in early. 10 races, and the highlight is race number 5, which is the Hoist Talk Australia Pearl Classic for the 2-year-old colts and geldings, worth $100,000 at Group 2 level. And the first race we're going to look at, we're going to have a look at the Pearl Classic in a moment, but before we do that, let's have a look at race number 2, which is the Vale Allen Bell Pace. And this, again, is a really interesting race for the fillies and mares. We've got Captain's Beach Bay drawing the pole from Miss Sassy. Peaceful for Jocelyn Young, who's obviously been really good over in the East. Had 1 start here, so see how she goes at a second start. Soho Rhapsody. Good Deal Maddie for Ryan Bell and Trent Wheeler. Sovrana is drawn 6. Beyond the Sea, who's been very impressive. Failed last start. Before that was going really well. Little Darling, Blaze Coops, and on the back line got Parakeet, Don't Be Silly Chili, and Castella Delacqua. This is a really interesting race, Bomber, and a really good fillies and mares race.
Very even, Rads. It's you'd have probably 6-7 of them win without really surprising. But I thought play a couple at odds here from the back line in number 11, Don't Be Silly Chili, and number 12, Castella Delacqua. Both mares are going to need the race run completely upside down, but there looks to be plenty of speed drawn toward the middle and outside here, and that could well be the case. A few of them wanting to get up on speed. So Don't Be Silly Chili been going really well of late, and Castella Delacqua should be just about at her peak at a third run back, and they're both capable of coming with runs out wide if they do happen to run long in front. Obviously, if they walk, we're in a bit of trouble, but going to come up decent prices, so worth a throw at the stumps, I think.
Well, you expect a bit of pace off the front line. You'd think a few would be going to hold their position, and you'd think Sovrana would have a throw at the stumps to get the front early.
100%. Sovrana will go forward. Obviously, Lindsay on on Blaze Coops. He'll be looking to run the gate from out there, and there should be plenty of speed, particularly through the first 400 to 600. So I hope they just go handlebars down.
All right, 11 Don't Be Silly Chili and 12 Castella Delacqua. How many units for race number 2?
Yeah, 1 unit each. They're both going to come up really good price, I think, and just want plenty of speed on. That's all.
All right, that's race number 2 to kick us off, and now we move to the main race. This is the Hoist Talk Australia 2-year-old Pearl Classic. We're going to preview, and we'll have a look at the Tab Touch market. It went up yesterday, and there's been a couple of moves already, and as we have a look at the Tab Touch market for the Pearl Classic, Sebastian James, $2.50 out to $3.50 from the pole. Belly Up, $31. Captain's Creek, $5 to $4. Late Bacola, $17 to $13. Fill My Pockets, $34 to $23. Como El Viento opened at 41, got up to 126, a little bit of speck of money back into 51. Captain Said So, 71 into 34. Express Party opens $14 into $6, and in the fourth line of betting, Captain Sterling 51 to 26. I'm Massimo, 320, touch $4 into favourite now at $3. Inside the back, that's inside the back line. Then when I got on, he's outside the better side at $61 and hold the ammo at $21. So a few moves already in this market. Bomber with Sebastian James opening favourite now to $3.50, and I'm Massimo $4 into favouritism at $3 with Tab Touch.
Yeah, I'm all over on Massimo, Rads. I really like this bloke, and despite the draw, happy to be with him tomorrow night. He's got a very good record, but could have been even more impressive figuratively with a bit more luck in a couple of races. He's second behind Sebastian James, 2 runs back. He came from 4 pegs on that occasion and ran a 56 and change last half and smashed the line. He was actually in front about 10 metres after the post. And then last start, he was probably even more impressive when he sat 1-1, but broke 56 on the way home to win impressively there. And I'm convinced only bad luck can beat him. These 2-year-old races are often won by those on the pegs. And as long as there's enough pressure for Junior to be able to push off the fence there at some point, I think he's going to be the one getting over the top of them.
Well, we saw a pegs winner in the Diamond Classic last week, and this race may be the same. As you say, it's a good record for 2-year-olds that follow the speed. How many units for I'm Massimo in the main race?
Yeah, just the 2, only due to the fact that there is obviously a chance that he does run out of luck, but failing that, I just think if he does these clear air at the right time, he'll be winning.
All right, he's currently $3 with Tab Touch. All right. Now, Bomber, last week has continued on a really strong form run for the mare Ratlin Lily. Hasn't she come on leaps and bounds this preparation?
Oh, she has. She's one of those ones that just sort of flies under the radar, but she just puts her head down and she tries her heart out, and she doesn't have any ridiculous turn of foot, but gee, she's strong. She's going to be competitive in whatever she takes on, I think. Yeah,
there was about 4 and 5-year-old mares worth $40,000. Denny Roberts in the 1-1 pulled out. Many thought that Penny Black at the $1.30 was going to be too strong, but it was Ratlin Lily getting the better of Penny Black in the WASBA 4 and 5-year-old mares.
Sherry around the turn though, 29-1, Penny Black and Ratlin Lily. Sister Sherry's running third from Castella Delacqua, pocket the change, and then Little Darling. Ratlin Lily is on the outside of Penny Black and Ratlin Lily going nose for nose. Ratlin Lily doing the better work, takes the lead now from Penny Black. It's Ratlin Lily in front. She had a great run, and Ratlin Lily has got the money in the bubble burst just on Penny Black, but it was a great...
There's always a lot more in store for you at Retrovision, like Retrovision's lowest price guarantee. If you find a lower price on a same-stocked item, we'll beat it. There's our 60-day price promise, where we'll refund you 120% of the difference if you find a lower advertised price on any purchase. Plus, RAC members save an extra 5% every day of the year. After 60 years, a lot has changed, but there's still a lot more in store at Retrovision.
You are listening to Talking Trots with Mortz and Michael Radley.
in the next quarter. And Two Bob Cracker makes the move out wide to come after these leaders very strongly now. Around the turn, it's Sugar Street Classic Choice, joined by Two Bob Cracker out wider. And then Illawong Mustang into the straight. Sugar Street. And on the outside, Two Bob Cracker, who swept up and shot to the front. Pierre Whippy's coming late, but Two Bob Cracker to Campo again clear from Pierre Whippy in third, Illawong Mustang, and Two Bob Cracker. He looked good in the run and he won by 2.5 metres. Second home, Pierre Whippy. Third in Illawong Mustang.
Yeah, Two Bob Cracker winning the final event at Gloucester Park last week for Glenn Elliott and Aidan de Campo. Goes into the marathon, the Hoist Solutions Marathon tomorrow night over the stand start over the 3,309 metres, and we're going to preview it in just a moment. But it's a strong field, and it goes in with good form to Bob Cracker. All right, this segment is brought to you by Steel Blue, built for comfort, made for work, and really important. This August is Steel Blue is a proud supporter of Tradies National Health Month, which is throughout August, and each year and raises awareness for health and injury risks affecting those who work in trade occupations among tradies themselves, their families, employers and the wider community. Despite making up only 35% of the workforce, statistics show that 3 in 5 serious workplace injuries involved a tradie, which highlights that the health of the tradie must be a priority. Now, they got a big a giveaway, a tradies pack valued at $900 to give away for your chance to win some great prizes. Follow Steel Blue Boots on Facebook and Instagram. And if you want to buy some boots, they've got 700 stockists nationwide, or you can go to steelblueboots.com. All right, Bomber. It's time to get into the next race. We've got a preview, and it is the second feature of the night, which is the Marathon Handicap for Hoist Talk Australia. And tell you what, 10 runners to go around, but tell you what, it's a great field. We've got Bellissimo Acquisto for Mouse Brennan and Ryan Warwick off the front with You Fly With Me and Rock Artist. Off the 10 metres, we've got Coney Island Lou, Ideal Tomato. And then we go to the 20-metre mark where Feeling Aces is the sole runner on that mark. And then there's 4 off the back mark of 30. Good times ahead. Two Bob Cracker, who won last week, we just heard. Karana and Otis, who is also owned by Steve Johnson and trained and driven by Dylan Edgerton Green in the marathon tomorrow night. Bomber, this is a really good stand start. The marathon's always a great race, and this year looks a really competitive affair.
Yeah, I agree, Rads. It's a race I always look forward to, and there's plenty of chances again tomorrow night. But I did like Coney Island Lou. I thought he's well placed here off the 10. He had a recent jump out where he started from the pole and stepped slowly but cleanly. With only 3 off the front and 2 off the 10, he looks to land pretty close here, and he might even get an opportunity to roll around and have a look for the top. He's a 3 from 5-time winner since arriving in Australia, and his latest effort to give a horse like Crowd Control a start in the beating, really was rated well for me, and I think that should have him right in the finish here so long as he steps.
Yeah, it's a really good race. He seems to be looking at his New Zealand runs, and he's, even though he won his first couple by leading Coney Island Lou, I think he's a much better horse setup.
Yeah, he really impressed me last time. I didn't think he could do what he did last time. So, I think horses like Otis are going to be looking to push around to the top. So, Junior will get it right. There's no doubt if he thinks he can just sort of pop him in the first 4 or 5 there and come with one run, then that'll be the way he drives him. But he's certainly going to get options from the draw as long as he does step.
All right. How many units for Coney Island Lou in the marathon?
Yeah, 2 units. I'm pretty confident about him, actually.
Okay. You're looking for a feature race double to Gary Hall Jr. in his first night back.
It's going to be keen. It's gets a couple on the board before he heads over and teams up with Never Ending. Yeah,
indeed. And to finish, we go with race number 9. This is the Valet Laurie Robinson, whose funeral was today, and the reports back it was a really big funeral, as you would expect for Laurie. Our condolences to the Robinson family, and this race named in honour of Laurie, and it's a really competitive race again. We've got Crowd Control for Kim Prentice and Mitchell Miller drawn the pole, looking to do what they did last week. El Waddell. The threes are scratching, chasing Hill. Vegas Strip's a very good horse on the rise coming through for Team Bond, Denny Roberts. Mr. Ridgewell. Rocket City, Luke Bocello for Michael Young and Gary Hall. Soho Firestone and Strike Team, who was really good first up. Might have been a little bit second up syndrome the second run, but he should make his presence felt in this third up. But this is a really good race. Bomber, which way are we going?
Yeah, it is, Rats, but a little bit of rinse and repeat here, Crowd Control. I think we've backed him about 5 times this prep, but he's done really well and has done for a number of weeks, and finally got the draw last week to capitalise, and he did in style. He finds the same draw here, and I think he'll hold up, and he's only really got one horse to beat. And last week he ran a 27.6 down the back without even being asked, and then 28 home, and I think a repeat of that will ensure his only real danger in Vegas Strip. Will be struggling on his outside. He sat outside the lead of Vegas Strip last time, and they ran a 28 down the back, and he was sort of couldn't make ground on that occasion. So I think if they break 28 here and then zip home off the back of that, it's going to make it pretty hard to sit outside of Crowd Control and beat him.
Yeah, mathematically it's going to be very hard, and it was good to see him break through because we have been following him for a while. He's deserved a win, and he finally got it.
Yeah, he did, and you were able to get the decent bet on him last week, and I think we can go again here. We were sort of having smaller bets early on at much bigger prices, and now we've got to capitalise at a shorter price, but I think he's going to reward us and then put two together here.
All right, he was $1.75 last week at the jump. Are we going to get black odds about him this week?
I think he'll open in the red and probably just stay. The Vegas Strip's a very nice horse, so I think that probably $1.70, $1.80 mark would be about right.
All right, how many units are we going to go?
We're going 5. We're going to try and shut up. I think he'll lead and win.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Charge right into race number 9. The bank should be full, and we can head home with plenty of money in the bank after Crowd Control. Salutes. No multi this week, mate?
No, a little bit tricky this week. I think if you wanted to probably just double a couple of these up, but really bank around Crowd Control. There's a few sort of each way price. I'll be playing around him as well, but we'll leave the multi alone this week. We'll freshen up and try and get one next week.
All right, we're about to listen to Crowd Control, mates. But before we go, how good was Bet the House last week when he ran second to him? 3-year-old up against the older horses, and they were pretty smart older horses as well.
Oh, he's a nice horse. He's got a future for sure. He can do it at both ends, and he looks very versatile. He's gonna win plenty for his connections.
All right. What about your Bombers on the weekend? Can they get the cash Friday night?
Jeez, I just about barred them after last week. I can't believe that. Gold Coast. How do you lose to the Gold Coast in Melbourne? But it's been the story of their year this year. They're likely to come out and roll Sydney. So, they've been very inconsistent. Their best is very good, but there's just too big a gap between their best and worst, unfortunately.
Yeah, indeed. And, my night's got a win, so I was a little bit happy about that. Gave me something to cheer.
Followed you in there and tipped them. So,
God bless
they
them.
need a few perfect rounds to get anywhere near the leaders there.
I gave up a while ago. Anyway, all right, mate, thanks for your time. We'll catch you next week, eh?
Thanks, Rats. Have a great week.
Good on you, Scott Bomber Hill, who's been in good form. Hopefully it continues into tomorrow night. And a couple of nice ones. Keen on a couple of Gary Hall horses and finishing with Crowd Control. And as we go to the break, let's listen to Crowd Control defeating the very gallant and very good 3-year-old Bet the House.
0.6, they were burning. From Chivalry, Luca Pello, no run, travels well. What are the odds out wider? Bet the House trying to come on in the middle. He's starting to run home now. He just needs some daylight. He's trying to push what are the odds out of the way, and he does so. Around the turn, Crowd Control in front, leading the way. Bet the House coming down the outside. Luca Pello the inside. Chivalry battles on. Crowd Control's in front though. Bet the House, Chivalry, Luca Pello the inside. It's Crowd Control. Bet the House on the outside. Crowd Control's in front though, and Crowd Control has won from Bet the House. Chivalry and Luca Pello never got out on the inside. Unlucky.
New Mazda.
Yep, I love it. We got it from Bayswater Mazda.
I keep hearing great things about them. They're fantastic to deal with. Great people, great coffee too.
At Bayswater Mazda, you'll always be well looked after. Visit the team today and find the best drive-away deals on new Mazdas and pre-owned vehicles. Driving is better with Bayswater Mazda.
So's the coffee.
Go and see Bayswater Mazda at the corner of Guildford and Garrett Road, Bayswater. DL 25174.
You are listening to Talking Trots with Morts and Michael Radley.
Coming through in the middle around the turn though, and it is all Lion Queen 29.9. This is a really good filly. He Sam's battling on. Mania the outside. Prime Movers working into the clear. Joey's on a roll, starting to struggle a little bit. It is all Lion Queen well clear over Mania. He Sam has done too much work. Down the outside, Joey's on a roll's run a terrific race. Rockability makes plenty of ground up to run top 4, but Lion Queen has absolutely bolted in. It won by 30 metres. Second, Joey's on a roll and nose away Mania and 2 metres away.
Great to have Lion Queen back. Unfortunately, she's been struck with injury, and we haven't seen her. She was probably going to be favoured in the Sales Classic a year or so ago, and now she's come back to racing. Talking about her working with Waterloo, and very good to have Lion Queen back. No doubt Amy at the WA Oaks, and also the 3-year-old Westbred coming up, and great to have her back because she's an exceptional filly, Lion Queen. If we get to see the best of her, she's certainly going to play a part in the bigger races. Ollie Cownie's about to join us. Before we do, this segment's brought to you by Bayswater Mazda. Driving is better in Bayswater Mazda. We know that, corner of Guildford and Garrett Roads. And not only is it better, Bayswater deals are bigger, bolder and better. Make sure you go and see Bayswater Mazda, as I said, corner of Guildford and Garrett Roads. Mort's raves about his Mazda 6 Turbo. And they've got a great range of cars to Bayswater Mazda, including up to the big 4-wheel drives and every type of car that you could possibly want. They'll look after you at Bayswater Mazda. All right, time to get into our provincial preview and country, and also see if we can find a winner at Albion Park. And it's a big welcome to Oliver Cownie. Ollie, welcome to the program.
Hey, Rads, good to be on.
Mate, great to have you on, and it's not bad racing coming up. We've got Friday night Gloucester Park, bid 10 race card, which is a really good Pearl Classic, which we've already discussed. But then we moved to Bunbury on Saturday night. There's a 8 race card at Bunbury. First race at 5:42. Central Wheatbelt we moved to on Sunday. There's an 8 race card on Sunday as well. Great to see the 8 races. The first race 1 at 12:53, and the fields have just come out over this afternoon for Pinjarra Monday. An 8 race card there. The first at 1:38, and then Gloucester Park 9 races on the Tuesday. The first at 4:55, and we will speak about Queensland coming up as well. They got the big Queensland Q-Bred Triad finals. A couple of Group 1s there and a couple of Group 2s. It's going to be a really good night racing there, Ollie, and looking forward to it. But we kick off the weekend on Saturday night at Bunbury. Can you find us a winner at Bunbury?
Yeah, it is fantastic racing coming up over the next few days. Going to kick off at Bunbury in race 3. Lucy Kane, 3 runs for the new stable. Ryan Bell, I think she's come back a better horse, and 2 back, she scored a nice win when leading all the way. Certainly didn't beat a strong field there, but she still got home 57 there herself, which is reasonably good time. And then last start, she was off the pegs in a stronger race and just didn't handle that and finished midfield in the end behind Loctay and Naze Vura. But they did go 1:57.5, which is pretty sharp time. And the two in front put a decent gap on third there. So I thought her midfield finish was okay, and likely from the inside draw here, she'll get a chance to lead and win. She might go around a short price. So we'll have to find something to multi her up into.
All right, what have you got for us then?
I think that in the next, in race 5, we got Vintage Blue. Definitely not a horse that I think wins too often, is always around the mark without quite winning, has had 2 runs back from a spell. First run was a bit inconclusive, I thought, didn't really have the clearest passage there, and he's probably more of a rolling type. Obviously took good benefit from that run. His last start was huge. I thought he came off essentially what was a 40-metre handicap there and ran through the line really strongly and was quite an eye-catching effort. Comes into this race third up. He's got pretty good gate speed and he's drawn outside a horse, Gold Horseshoe, who's not probably noted as having much gate speed. Think he can get over at the start and then has a few options from there and should be suited to the long trip. So I think he's a good 1x3 type betted, hopefully decent each way odds.
All right, that's 3x1 to race 3 number 1 to stand out in any multi if you want to, and then a bit of value in race 5 number 3. The feature event of the night at Bunbury, Ollie, is the Country Oaks, and Aidan Ocampo's going to play a major part there with Miss Hepburn and Copycat Queen for the $30,000 feature. Looks a good race.
It does look a really good race, and I was looking at the race to potentially have a bet in, but I do think Miss Hepburn will go around very short odds there and is the likely winner. I thought Bizarre Package has had a couple of runs for Jocelyn Young in the most recent win, left the gate really slowly and sort of went backwards at the start. So I wasn't confident that horse would get over at the start. Otherwise, I thought Bizarre Package might be a really good place bet there. But obviously, as you mentioned, there's a few horses going really well. Loctay was fantastic last start, leading and winning. And Copycat Queen is flying as well. So should be a really interesting race. But I'm suspecting that it might be a race of the placings in behind Miss Hepburn.
And the race 7's a really good 2-year-old race. The 2 reserves from the Pearl and also Bullshark Betty, who ran 4th in the Diamond last week up against Pate LaPalette, who's had 1 start for 1 win. But it's an interesting 2-year-old race 7.
Definitely. I think it is crunch time. Obviously has a few quirks and is still figuring it all out, but he looks a really smart horse and he could be one that goes really well. Looking forward, Control the Room, obviously beat Express Party recently, which is now looking like pretty good form. I think Express Party's already been one that's been backed in the big race on Friday and it's drawn widest. So that's really interesting and potentially a good lead in this race. And Paint the Palette was so impressive on debut. And then, as you mentioned, Bullshark Betty as well, really smart horse. And not forgetting Last Hard Copy, who was a last start winner as well and has the services of Aidan DeCampo and a low gate, which is always a good recipe for success there.
Yeah, it's a good meeting at Bunbury, and hopefully we've found a couple of winners. We moved to Central Wheatbelt on Sunday. 8 races, the first at 12:53. What do you got for us at Kellerberrin?
Kicking off in race 4 at Kellerberrin, I thought Admiral Darcy, he's had a couple of runs for the new stable, Ivan Miles, and I thought his last start effort was really good there. He worked up around outside the leader and put a bit of pressure on there, and he stuck on really well after doing the work in that race. He's drawn outside some horses here that are probably more hand-up types in Immaculate and Mr. Copa. So I think if he can work his way to the front there over the short course around the tight circuit at Kellerberrin, he'd be really hard to beat in that race, Admiral Darcy, with the 2 main dangers likely American Monarch and Beyond Bling outside the back row. So that makes things a little bit harder for them.
All right. Have you got a second tip for us at Central Wheatbelt?
The second one comes up in race 5. It's almost blasphemous and a criminal offence to tip something that's outside back row at Kellerberrin. It's pretty hard from out there, but I'm going to do it in this race, and I just think this horse is absolutely flying. Magic Bay, I think there could potentially be a decent battle for the front here between a few horses. Sarah Belvedere, Sanford Bart, Don't Go in the Water, and Jamie King might all be looking for a forward spot there, and that could really set things up for Magic Bay, who was a pretty incredible run into third last start after being near last and coming for home really wide when they were running hard. So I think Magic Bay is going well enough to overcome that awkward draw and could potentially just be better odds as a result.
Yeah, it should be a good day at Kellerberrin on the Sunday. 8 races there. As I said, the first race is at 12:53. And tell you what, some interesting races around the nation on Saturday night in conjunction with Bunbury, including Albion Park, Ollie. And it's their big night. It's the Triad night at Albion Park for their Q-Bred. A couple of Group 1s for the 2 and 3-year-olds. We've also got the 4-year-old Triad as well. Have you got a winner for us at Albion Park?
Hopefully in race 3 we've found the winner, Bronski Zulu. I thought this horse has always sort of shown a bit of promise for Charlie Sini early and just seemed to lose his way a little bit, I thought. He's always had a speed, just hasn't had the strength in the past, but this time in, he's moved to the Donnie Smith stable and he's just really turned a corner, this horse. He's shown a bit of toughness and he's been able to sustain that speed more than he used to. His first run for the new stable, he ran second to Major Hot, who's since gone on to do bigger and better things, and he's not really looked back since then. He's run some really good races, and last start, he's just run his best career race. I think he drew the outside front row and he got into a bit of an awkward position there. He ended up outside the leader and they'd run pretty hard there. So I think potentially from the better barrier draw here, he's going to prove really hard to beat. And the horse that he did beat in that race was Balboa Rock, who's now the early favourite and sort of had every chance there in that race, I thought. And Bronski Zulu did a lot more work and had a worse barrier draw. So I'd find it hard to see how Balboa Rock could turn the tables on Bronski Zulu, potentially even if Bronski Zulu could zap over at the start, it'd be incredibly hard to beat. But however it plays out, I think he's the best horse in that race.
Yeah, he's 290 with Tab Touch Bronski Zulu for Sneaky Graham. Balboa Rock at 350. They hold the market call ahead of Ellis Street at 340. You've been a bit of a fan of Ellis Street, so Bronski Zulu is the $2.90 favourite though.
I definitely think Ellis Street going forward is a really nice horse, but his last couple of starts just haven't quite been up to his best. He led in both of them and just dropped out of it. I think he might have just trained off a little bit there. He's had a little freshen up, but it's only a couple of weeks, so I'm not sure he'd be able to sort of turn things around, and I'm not sure he's ideally suited from that back row draw. He's a horse that can get a little bit fierce, so I think potentially going forward, Ellis Street will be a really nice horse to follow, but I'm not sure he can turn things around here quick enough.
And the race that has a implications into the Eureka is race number 7. It's the Triad final for the 4-year-old Colts and Geldings, and it's worth $76,500. Free Thinker, who's drawn inside the back line, already got a slot for Grant Dixon, currently on Friday night. On Saturday night, he's 340. But a couple really trying to push for a slot in the Eureka, including For Real Life, who's actually favourite for the race on Tab Touch on Saturday night at $1.70, and Regazzo de Tilly, who's outside the front line and one outside For Real Life at $4.20. What do you think of the 4-year-olds?
I think there's been a few times this time in where For Real Life has been definitely below his best, and he's a better horse than he's been showing. But at the same time, in a lot of those races, if he'd been able to find the front like in the Rising Sun, I think he still would have won the race. They might have been slightly weaker races than what we're used to. So him winning that may not have been as strong a form reference as it has in the past, but I think he is a really nice horse, and this looks a perfect opportunity for him to potentially land on the front end. And if he does, then he'll be awfully hard to catch there. And I think he can bounce back to his best. It'll be interesting what happens in the early stages. I think Carter Grant can dictate there and potentially land leaders back on For Real Life, which would give Free Thinker that 3 back the peg spot. And they might be the ones fighting out the finish in the end there. But Regazzo di Tilly is also a really smart horse, and if he was to somehow end up with a slot in the Eureka, I don't think he'd disgrace himself either. So really interesting race, that one.
Yeah, it's has implications going forward for the Eureka in a couple of weeks' time. And we had the announcement, as I said early in the show, that Major Delight has got a slot for Team Zav. So it's all coming together. Ollie, really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us, and we'll chat to you next week.
Thanks very much, Rads.
Good on you. Ollie Cownie there, who's back on Monday morning on Tab Radio with Tim Walker, and Off the Pace. I think 9:30 on a Monday morning here on Tab Radio. They got to elevate up the list last Monday at $9, so just check your local guides, as they say, for off-end pacing. All right. Thanks to everyone for their time. It's been a big show. Hopefully it's been okay going solo. We had obviously Gary Hall Jr. and Steve Johnson. Great to chat to them. And obviously, hopefully we found a few winners with Bomber and Ollie. Hope you've enjoyed the program. We'll be back next week. Hopefully a really special guest we're working on, and we might be able to announce it in the lead up to the show. But hopefully you can tune in. Hopefully we found a few winners, as I said, Friday night and over the weekend. Until next week, it's bye for now.
Talking Trots with Morts and Michael Radley on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelpline.org.au.